Hey everybody, don't mind me, just hanging out here next to, what is this you ask? My very first tray of germinated Lisianthus seeds. So exciting, so exciting. So why is this so exciting? Because I've never done it before and they're really hard to grow. They're not as hard to germinate, but I'm gonna take any win I can get. And they're just so tiny that you can't even see them on camera here. So I'm going to try to get a close-up. Okay, can we get a close-up here? See that little green bit right there? That's one of them. See those other little green, little tiny seedlings? Oh, look, I can get a good zoom in on them. Oh, aren't they cool? They are itty bitty. I have 2 seeds per soil block here. See, there's 1 and 2. And so on. And counting this tray, I have about 92% germination. I have 80 seeds I put in here, and I think it's like 74 I counted last time, that you can see they've germinated. Aren't they amazing? I mean, they are just so tiny. So wonderful. It's super great. So I had to show you because I am so thrilled. The day that this happened, which I think was maybe a week ago, I just didn't get around to filming it yet. I just was like jumping up and down for joy. I'm just like, this is so great. So the situation here is I have moved this tray downstairs where it is 60 degrees and they're right by the window here, so they get nice natural light out by our gardens. And they want to have a cooler temp to grow after they first germinate. So I've taken the humidity dome off and I don't have them on the heating mat anymore. Everything I'm researching and reading and talking to people who've done this about is indicating not to give them a lot of water. Like, let them literally dry out, because overwatering is a major way that these things don't grow. And we are basically now into the very hard stage. So germing is not the hardest thing. It's so exciting though. I'm so glad to have them. They're alive, they're here, they're green, yay. But I literally have 12 weeks before I can get them outside in the ground, where I have to keep them alive. And so many things can go wrong. They can get flies, like whatever they call those flies that can get after plants. So I might get something to help with that. They can certainly get different fungus diseases because of moisture. And so I'm being really careful. So last night I came down here and the blocks are pretty dry. So I gave the tray a watering. So I filled in water in all of the little channels, and then, you know, made sure I tip the tray so it's nice and evenly watered up through the soil blocks. And checking on them this morning, checking on them every day, because that's part of the fun of doing this. They look great. I feel like all of the little seedlings look healthy. They seem vigorous, even though they are so microscopically tiny. So far, so good. Crossing fingers. We're on a long journey, but they are like one of the slowest growing flowers ever. And the other thing I want to try to watch out for is what they call rosetting, which is like the plant gets into a vegetative state where it has a lot of foliage, but it doesn't actually grow up to put off blooms, which is the whole goal. We want to have these be cut flowers that produce really well, a nice harvest in the garden. So I am doing my best to make sure they are at that lower temp and that I don't overwater, and try to do all the right things so that we avoid rosetting. And then I have 2 other trays that aren't quite as far along upstairs still in the germination phase. So I've got some that have germed and some that haven't. They're about 50% of the tray is germed, about 40 of them out of 80. So I keep checking on them every single day. Let's go take a look at those. I'm literally shaking the water off of the dome because there's so much condensation that forms from the humidity. And it's actually a nice way to just, you know, give them a little bit of water. Why not? Now this set of soil blocks seems dry to me on top. It looks dry, it feels a little dry, but I'm trying to remember. Actually, I didn't water them yesterday, so I might give them a little bit of water here. You can see the green little sprouts? We've got germination going on here. These plants look really good, actually, to me. But it's not as full germination. I probably need to go back through and count. They are so darn hard to see that you can't just at a glance look at the tray and be like, oh yeah, this one's pretty far along. Because you have to literally, for me, I've had to go through and literally look at every single soil block. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then sometimes I have to really like get in close, squint, see if there's one that's just hard to spot, to understand my germination rate. So I'm going to go through that again today and see where they're at, because maybe I'm further along than I thought. And some just take longer than others, you know. Let's look at this tray. Yeah, you can see there's little ones started. Oh, they look good. I'm excited. I mean, and then look, there's a little tiny one in this. Can you see that on camera here? In that little crack? Where did it go? Oh, there. See, that little tiny one fell between the soil blocks. I don't really care. It's in there. It's growing. So we've got stuff going on here. So it's like any day now I want to move these downstairs off the heat maps, remove the dome, and get them in their cooler environment so that these plants that are up do really well. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm literally at this stage of the season having 3 trays that I'm checking on daily. And I am also planning out my whole spreadsheet for the season in a much more detailed way than I ever have before, researching everything from maturity dates to planting dates to spacing in the garden, and just getting everything really documented so that I have a cheat sheet for myself for later, and for sanity and planning and knowing, okay, in this week I need to plant this, and that week I need to do that. It is oddly enjoyable. So I'm gonna make a different video on that and show you my process of how I am doing that. And then the other thing I've got going on this week, mid-Jan, I am going to start my first group 1 of Snapdragon seeds. I just got them in the mail from Johnny Seeds yesterday, so I'm really excited to get them going as another cool flower for earlier in the season. So I'll be adding more trays here and getting them off to hopefully a really good start.